All right, I think we're going to get started because we do have a lot to cover, and then we will have other people pop on, and that's okay. So I am Danielle Barkman. I am the Director of Business Development here at Sandler. If you aren't familiar with Sandler, we are a global sales training and business development organization, and we work with organizations and entrepreneurs here in Manitoba. Some of you may also know me as an entrepreneur. I had 2 successful businesses for many years. I had Chocolates and Bakery in Osborne South, and as well Joe Black Coffee Bar west by the Assiniboine Park footbridge. I've also been a senior business development manager for a national company working with Shutterfly and LifeTouch, 100% focused on business growth and training sales teams across Canada and the US. So I know that prospecting and the activity that you need to find new opportunities to convert that into revenue is such a huge factor and component in sales. It's also quite often when clients come to us, one of the areas that they struggle with the most. So I'm very happy that you've joined us here today. We do have a lot of content to cover in a really short period of time. Please use chat to ask any questions. Clint and Heather, my colleagues, are online and they will manage those questions and answer them through chat. I'll stay on for another few, maybe 15 minutes after. So if you have time, please stay on and we can go through some of your questions then, or reach out through email or LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to talk to you one-on-one. You could take out your phones and we are going to ask a question. And sorry, my slide deck's running a little bit slow here today, so just bear with us for a second. There we go. What is your comfort level using AI to prospect? So some of you may be familiar with AI in general, but when it comes to prospecting and sales activity, what is your comfort level? All right, so we have a few answers coming in. Starting to use and in research stage, that's great. Certainly evolving rapidly. When I put this question in, I was actually watching a Disney docuseries that I started called The Edge of the Unknown with Jimmy Chin. He's a famous videographer in extreme sport. And the one first episode was with Alex Hammond. He's a climber and he does a lot of free soloist stuff. So you may have seen his movie Free Solo. It's a National Geographic documentary where he climbed El Capitan in Yosemite Park with no harnesses. And this episode, he was training for this event in Morocco. And he was asked a question about overcoming fear. And the thing that stood out to me, because I was putting this together and kind of had it on in the background, he said, managing fear is about expanding your comfort zone. So when you expand your comfort zone in little increments, over time, all the things that were so fearful and you didn't think were even possible, all of a sudden became part of your comfort zone. So I kind of looked at that as we look at AI and the rapid advance in technology and how we seem to always, like I myself seem left behind in some of the development. It's a really good analogy to consider that, you know, as we take little baby steps. So I encourage you today to take something, maybe one little thing that can impact and change how you prospect and apply that. And eventually things will become more comfortable. So what we're going to learn today is we're going to do a recap on last webinar on modern prospecting. We're going to talk about Chat GPT and even try it live and learn how different prompts can make us more successful in how we prospect and find our clients, how we leverage LinkedIn, video outreach. Black and white text isn't received like it used to be, email. So how can we find other ways to connect? One of my favorites, buyer intelligence platforms, some of the psychology behind people and our buyers and how they communicate. And then how do we be more effective in networking events and finding different tools that can set us up, be very strategic when we go to events. Some of the apps that we will be using and the platforms we're using here today, feel free to take a screenshot of. These are the ones we use regularly here at Sandler. Most of them are free, and if they aren't free, they do have a trial period that you can be strategic about when you use them or test them out. Let's get started. And last time we talked a lot about seller and the buyer, and that prospecting really is a lot about the buyer, and it should not be about us as the seller. that when we find a prospect and we put them in a stage in our sales cycle, that doesn't mean that the buyer expected to be there or wants to be there or knows that they're even at that stage. And something that we work a lot with our clients on is when we're in that mindset, we get ahead of them, we get eager, and we overtell and we overshare because we want to move things along at a pace that maybe the buyer isn't ready to be at. And so we need to get behind them on that. And so we looked at not sharing features and benefits, not just sending out a proposal. We ask questions, and how we do that through something called a no pressure conversation. We broke it down into the 4 categories of a pattern interrupt. So this is how do we introduce ourselves in a way that's disarmingly honest, asking permission, creating a bit more of a people business stature and different than somebody would be used to, like, hey, how are you today? Right? We do it differently. How we introduce ourselves in a 30-second commercial, kind of like your elevator pitch, but just more advanced. Talking more about how we help our clients or clients we've worked with, as opposed to just sharing features and benefits about what our company does. And then we know that buyers buy with emotion. So how do we ask pain questions that we can uncover their motivation and they're kind of where they're at in that stage. And then the next step, moving them to that next step in our process, which would be a call to action. It is not sending a proposal. Maybe it's inviting them to a webinar like this, or a networking event you're going to, or demonstration, or next meeting. But it's not about sending a proposal. And we also talked about breaking down that 30-second commercial, how we introduce ourselves, how we identify 2 or 3 pain statements, and how we've been able to support our clients with that. We ask a hook question on giving them permission to kind of opt in and out and creating some of that interest. And the reason why I've broken it down here today to look at is that when we look at Chat GPT and AI, it's really important to break down what we are wanting to create and putting some structure behind what it is that we want to accomplish and put together and brainstorm and put those into very specific categories instead of having one big broad topic like write me a script. We want to break it down and use Chat GPT and different AI platforms to help fine-tune each of those categories. So let's try it out. Before we get started with Chat GPT, it's really important to understand how to be successful. I'll date myself a little bit, but I had to learn how to use the internet, and I had to learn how to type in a search and optimize my results and how I phrase things when I search something on Google. The same thing is with Chat GPT. We need to structure our prompts in a way that sets us up to be most successful. And we can use a prompt format. This is one that I think is a really good starting place. Feel free to take a screenshot of it as well, where we're asking ChatGPT to act like a role, be your role, your job title, what you need. So what are you trying to create, the task that you want it to do, the details in that, what you don't want it to include, and how you want it to be formatted. Some task words, writing styles, summarize, generate, write, identify. Writing styles could be, I want to write this in a conversational tone. I want to write this in a testimonial form. Being really specific on your prompts. And this is an example of what that would look like. So act like a professional development manager that is prospecting a CEO of a manufacturing company. That's how I want it to act. I need 3 industry pain points in Manitoba for cold call script. So that's the task and the details. Please avoid, don't over-optimize, and input the results in point form using a natural tone. So that's the format that I want it to have. I'm just going to share my screen here, and we're going to go to Chat GPT. If you haven't set up Chat GPT, you can set it up on your phone, or you can set it up on your computer. and it looks a lot like this. Chat GPT is great for anything that you want to write. I wouldn't say it does best summarizing a company website. You may want to use something like Bing for that. But it's great for any content that you want to create, writing a proposal, creating a presentation, looking for ideas for a poll, writing a script for a call, writing an email campaign, writing something in LinkedIn, creating your resume. They're all really fantastic ways to use ChatGPT for that. What I've done is I've copied that example, and I've pasted it down below here, and I'm just going to click the message. And very quickly, it's creating 3 industry pain points with a script. And it's putting out a lot of output of information. Some of it I'm not necessarily going to want to use. We have to remember that there's a human intelligence component and that ChatGPT is really our sidekick to the work that we need to do. It's not replacing the work that we do. But there's some great stuff here. So some of the pain points, labor shortage, supply chain disruption, technology. I may think, you know what, these aren't really pain points I want. I'm going to say regenerate with different pain points. And so now it's going to pick some other ones. So what this now does is I can go back to that 30-second commercial and that no pressure call, and I can take these 3 pain points and start crafting my script around that. Maybe I really like number 1 and I want to create an email campaign from it. So I can say, use point number 1, write a 500-character email to a CEO of a manufacturing company. Include a hook question at the end. There we go. Very quickly, I've crafted a message. Now, there may be points in there that I look at from a Sandler perspective that maybe this isn't something that I would say. So maybe I would say regenerate using Sandler sales methodology. Just leave it at that. See what happens. Now it's rewritten the email, and I very, very quickly have some content to share and write. You may want to say, you know what, I really like the first paragraph, but the rest isn't necessarily what I want, but at least I have some structure. Another good one you can do is, let's say, the call reluctance that happens with prospecting is we don't want the rejection. We don't want somebody to say, yeah, I'm fine. I don't need that. You're too expensive, because we don't know how to react. We don't know what kind of objection questions we might get. So we can ask for help on that. Act as a CEO of a manufacturing company with 50 employees. What objections and questions would you have for me as a salesperson? I sell professional development training. You have a current supplier. Give me 10 top objections and questions. Put it in a table format. And ChatGPT came up with 10 questions and objections that I might receive and the response that I might get. I then can say, these are great questions, but how do I answer them? So I've asked ChatGPT to expand on number 1 and identify 3 responses to the question and keep it in table format. So here you can see budget constraints, and it's given me 3 responses. Another one that I like, role play. Role play is a really big part of what we teach with reinforcement training here at Sandler. You can use ChatGPT to help role play. It can help. You could type in your script. Let's say you're rewriting your resume. You're a recruiter. You could copy your whole resume and put it into ChatGPT as well. So that's kind of a top level overview. I would encourage you, if you haven't started with ChatGPT, take something in your personal life that maybe you want to plan. Holiday season's coming up. Maybe you've got kids like me at home who you don't want to sit in front of the screen all day and want to get them outside. So, act like a mom living in Manitoba that has 2 teenage boys. I want activities to do outside. Don't include inside activities, and keep the activities fun. Play around with it a little bit just to see what you might be able to find out. And as soon as you kind of get comfortable with it in some topic that you might be really familiar with, you can then apply it to your own work tasks. Here is also a link to some of our tried and tested Sandler Chat GPT prompts. We can put it in the chat, or I can email it out to you if you like, but there's a QR code. These are some really great sales prompts that you can use to help you be more effective, whether it be when you're trying to close an opportunity or write a presentation, or even when you're just trying to prospect. So moving on, leveraging LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great place to connect with people. We spoke a lot about it last time in combos. As you reach out to people, how do you do that in a way other than just an email or a phone call? If you haven't worked on your profile with LinkedIn, Chat GPT is a great opportunity to help you get started, because you can actually write your profile, you can write your career history, it can help you get started with writing posts, and it's very effective. As an entrepreneur especially, one of the big challenges is the time. I don't have the time to create all this content that I need to create and find out how to do it. Maybe I'm not a creative and that's not my strong suit. Things like Chat GPT can definitely help you figure that out. So we just spoke about a few. Paste your resume, GPT. You tell it that you want to write a profile for LinkedIn. Use Sales Navigator. I believe there's a paid component to that, but that's a great option for prospecting as well, and finding people with certain titles and searches. As you post stuff on LinkedIn, really pay attention to the performance of that post. Look at who's viewing it. Use that opportunity to connect with them. And if maybe a post wasn't as successful as a different one, you can use ChatGPT to kind of fine-tune some of the content that you're creating. I love it for writing LinkedIn posts. So we could take one of those pain points that we just identified, and we could ask ChatGPT to create a LinkedIn post. We can tell it to be conversational, informational, contain it to X amount of characters. It's a great way to create a LinkedIn post, especially if you're not quite sure or have the time to figure out what it is that you want to post. We've partnered before with outreachgenius.ai. If you haven't seen them in action or familiar with them, they're a great Manitoba organization that has really like what they're doing with LinkedIn and how they're prospecting on LinkedIn using AI technology. And they have a great tool on their front page of their website. So if you go to your LinkedIn profile and copy the profile and paste it into the bar on the main page of their website, it'll write you an introduction as well that you can just copy and put into your LinkedIn profile. And the one that I want to show you right now, which I think is absolutely a game changer, is when it comes to, let's say, I'm going to pick on Clint here today, but let's say I know that I want to reach out to him, and I want to be able to do that in a way that will resonate with him, and something that's going to make sense to him, and something that's going to capture his attention and the pain points that are specific to him. I can go to his LinkedIn profile. I can go to its posts, and I can just copy. So maybe copy 6 or 7 posts and continue on copying them. And then I can paste that into LinkedIn. First, I'm going to say, act like a sales manager, write a 300-character connect request introduction using the input below. Keep the format conversational. So I do that, and then here, all this information is just I pasted in the post that Clint has made. And when we get to the very end, so I copied quite a few of them. I have a 300 character introduction connect request to client. Some of it I may want to change, but now I've found something that I know is going to be effective. And it saved me a lot of time to figure out how to the best way to reach out to. That's one of my favorite little tips. And the other one that we can do is text to image. This one is really, really fun. You can take a description of any kind of picture that you might be thinking of, and you can go to an app like Pick or Bing Image Creator. And you can tell it anything you want to create. So this one we talked about last time, I mentioned trying out. So kitten on top of a mountain singing, include blue skies. I can select the style. I'm going to go with digital art. I can click generate. In a matter of seconds, I've created an image. These are ones I did before that were punk art and regular, and here we go, digital art. So for your LinkedIn posts, maybe you could take a description of the pain point and type it in, and it's going to create an image, and now you have a free image that you can use and reshare and put into your LinkedIn post. It's very, very cool. It's lots of fun. This one, I believe you get 20 free images, and I believe Bing Image Creator, I don't think there's a limit. I think it's just a limit on how many you have per month, but it's completely free resource. All right, so moving on to video outreach. I am curious to know, because video, no one wants to put themselves on video. Nobody likes to record themselves. How many of you are likely or have used video when reaching out to prospects or when you communicate with your existing clients? If you could take out that QR code again and let me know, I would really like to know how many people are using it on a regular basis. I love that we have some open to trying, because that is the hardest step. Most people are right away, no, I definitely not something that I want to try. Give you a second here and move on. That's great that you're open to trying. Open to trying. It's come a long way, I think, even for myself, when I never wanted to be on video and record myself. But as you do it, it does get easier. And like we talked about before, black and white text is no longer working, or not as effective as it used to be. If you think about in your own world, how many times you go to YouTube for instructions as opposed to looking at a written manual? It's holiday season. I needed a new centerpiece I wanted to build for my dining room table. And I went to TikTok and went to all kinds of little short videos, right, to see people actually making it, or a recipe. You're not necessarily looking at all the written text anymore. You're communicating through video. And it's an excellent way to set yourself apart from your competitors. It's a great way to break through that inbox and see how many more clicks and open rate you actually get as opposed to a text. I like that it builds a relationship at a distance, because when you see somebody in person, we learned that through COVID, right? We miss that human interaction, and video at least gets them to see you in your environment, in your world, your tonality, make a connection. And over time, it will save you time. I know video is always a little tricky at first because it takes so much time to get good at it or practice it. Over time, it will save you a lot of extra time and accelerate your sales cycle. Now we're going to watch a really short video on how Vidyard works. This is a great free tool that you can use. And Heather was great that she put it together for us.
Vidyard is an essential tool for elevating your cold calls and enhancing post-meeting interactions with prospects. Seamlessly share your screen to spotlight crucial details, sending impactful videos via email or through your CRM like HubSpot. Gain insights into your prospects' engagement, track views, and assess if they watched partially or in full. Experience the versatility of Vidyard by sharing compelling videos with clients And don't forget, you can even embed these dynamic visuals directly onto your website.
So Vidyard is a great one. I would go and download that if you haven't and set that up. And it is a free tool to use. I love, in comparison to other video tools, it has a teleprompter that you could type in what you wanted to say, and it'll scroll through at a pace that you're speaking so that you can just follow that along and you don't have to memorize your script. Video AI is also free. I can take this entire presentation that we're recording, I can put it into YouTube, upload it into YouTube, copy that link, put it into Video AI, and in about 10 minutes, I'm going to get an email of a whole bunch of short video snippets that it's pulled key information that I've said. I can customize it, I can add frames, and now I can repurpose that content to either share in a prospecting marketing campaign, maybe post on LinkedIn. This would be great if you're presenting at a conference and it's all recorded. The video has to be 3 minutes or longer. And it takes the entire content and it's going to break it down into the little 20, 50-second snippet. So this is a really good one if you're looking for not maybe comfortable necessarily with just doing a little Vidyard video where you're speaking and you're not necessarily just being filmed, and you can repurpose your long video into short little snippets. Fire intelligence platforms, I have to say this is my favorite. It takes kind of the psychology of someone online, your prospect that you might find through LinkedIn, and helps identify how you can communicate with them differently. What's their personality style? What's the best way to reach out to them through email? What words should you use? Should you be concise? Should you focus on analytics? It's really incredible what is being done. And we use Humantic AI. Sandler is partnered with Humantic AI. And I absolutely love this. So here's a quick video on how, when you download the extension through Google, there's a free 7-day trial that you can use. And I would suggest in January now, as we look at, we really want Q1 to build our pipeline, schedule a time that maybe you pick a reasonable amount of prospects. So maybe 20, 50, whatever that might be, that you want to learn some information on, get the extension for Humantic AI, and then find them all on LinkedIn and use the tool and save the information so that you can use that to prospect. So here's a little video on how Humantic AI works. So you go to LinkedIn, you click on the contact, instantly Humantic AI is going to start collecting information, and it's going to show kind of an overview of Clint, who he is, how to communicate to him, what words and how you should write to him in an email, what maybe you should or shouldn't use, tonality, give you some information on how to close and how he might qualify the information that he's being shared. If you're familiar with Sandler, you know we do a lot with disc profile. So is he more of a dominant, get to the point decision maker, or is he more of a compliant where he wants a lot of details and slower to make decisions? And give you all that information, which you can then open up on Humantic AI and in their platform, and it'll give you an overview. And you can see all that information at a glance. Work history, education. It's just an amazing tool that you can now adjust how you communicate with Clint and how you reach out to him. And then what you can also do is take that information into a PDF and save it and build a profile for each one of your prospects that you're going to use Humantic AI for, so that when you are ready to communicate with them, you just pull up that file. If your trial runs out, you still have all that information saved for later on. It's a great tool. So I'll send out the link after Humantic AI. I would definitely give that a try. And then lastly, let's look at networking tools. So right now, going to networking events, especially between fall and winter, there's so many of them. You're never quite sure which one to go to. You want to stay in ones in your industry. Maybe you want to go to ones outside your industry. And fills up fast. And you learn very quickly you need to be strategic about where you go and who you're networking with. And I like to think that there's a bit of work to do before you go to a networking event because you want to connect with certain people. So maybe there is 5 people you saw on an invite list that you see are attending that you want to reach out to. You can use tools like ZoomInfo, which we use all the time to build our lead prospect list. You can research them, learn a little bit more about their industry, what their role is in that industry. You can use tools like Eventbrite, discover and register for links, events, and see who's there. You can create your own events. And Bizzabo is a fantastic one for when you want to connect with people at an event one-on-one. And you can do that real time through Bizzabo or see who was presenting and exhibitors. My advice is networking events can be great for prospecting, but you need to be prepared ahead of time. So whether it's the presenter, that person you want to connect with, or there's certain people that you want to connect with there, have a purpose before you get there. And use tools like ZoomInfo, Eventbrite, and Bizzabo to get you set up. ZoomInfo is a paid option, but the other two are free as well. So let's quickly just kind of wrap this up and what that looks like. The key takeaways that if you're going to take away something to change is get Chat GPT and start playing around with it. Put some format into what it is that you want to build. So if we look at our no pressure call or a 30-second commercial, what are the pain points that we can fill in? What are some of the hook questions that we can do? Try video, give it a try. Just download Vidyard and play around with it if you have extra time, especially in the next couple of weeks. Get comfortable with it because it really does work. Be really strategic in using some of the free trials and put together a prospecting plan and who you want to target, and use some of these tools just with those specific prospects, and give AI a chance. It's not going away. It's evolving really, really quickly. And it's such a great sidekick to help you elevate your prospecting game. Our next session is going to be on January 25th. We talk a lot about our success triangle and how our attitude and our behavior and our techniques will equal success. And we have a guest speaker, Alison Shane from Starling Social, who is a guru on creating online content, who's going to join us. We also have some sales classes and leadership courses starting in January. So if that's something you might be interested in, please reach out. We'd love for you to complete the feedback form. There's a QR code for that. And I will open it up to any questions that people will have right now.